Good morning, good afternoon. It's morning here. I know on these videos they say good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Well, I guess you're just on YouTube and you're watching. And this is a kind of exciting moment for me because we are bringing forward for your sharing a connection that we have. We call ourselves the Council of Elders. And you know, we have a very informal process between us, and we talk and we share every week, and that's the name that came up. But we are all part of the advanced trauma training. Everybody that's here has gone through that training and now are sitting on the Council of Elders, and we do our weekly Elders Wisdom in Uncertain Times call. But also as a private thing, as a group, we meet once a week and we just process around our own personal trauma and how that interrelates with the collective trauma, and particularly about what's unfolding at this present moment and how we're, you know, what we're actually seeing in the collective. So I just want to introduce to you, we have Maia, Pelham, Greene, who's been working with me for a very long time, assisting on the trauma skills trainings. And she's our youngest member, but has a very great wisdom, a great amount of wisdom and experience from her trauma work and her personal experiences in life. And we have Brigitte Anteleme, from the Source Center in the south of France, and is a trauma therapist, a shamanic healer. She has years and years and years of experience doing very, very deep healing work, particularly in working with the divine feminine and bringing the divine feminine into awareness. It's best for her to share in her own way around that. And Duthie, who's an independent midwife, a birth therapist, a constellation therapist, and many, many wonderful things. And Sue Pelham, who is my beloved, absolutely beloved support and colleague at Healing Waters, doing all sorts of amazing things, trauma therapy. She helps me to run the sanctuary. Everyone here is very, very close to my heart, and these trying to explain who people are very kind of, it's kind of a bit awkward, but you're all of you are really close to my heart. And I think it'd be better if we just opened up into our kind of talk in the kind of format that we usually do, because I've been saying every week, it's like, gosh, what we're sharing is so important and so valuable, and I just want to share it out to the public. So so let's just share. How are you all this morning? We had a bit of this is a different format for us to actually record our calls. So I'm just hearing in this moment, as I'm trying to introduce us, that my voice is a bit like formal and not the usual Juliet. I mean, how do I sound to, you know, give me some feedback on what you're hearing from me. It's awfully complicated trying to transition the kind of space that we're usually sharing into a more kind of external, you know, it's kind of like stepping out of that internal, deeply internal space and externalizing it. And immediately it's like the mask comes over, doesn't it? As we, so would you like to unmute? Let's just open up and unmute and give me some feedback as to how you're experiencing my attempt to put us out into the public eye. What comes up for you as I'm sharing this? Would you like to unmute yourself?
For me, what comes up is like, wow, isn't Juliet amazing? Like, she can just switch into workshop leader space, just like that, and all of the baggage goes a little to one side, which is such an amazing skill that, you know, all of us have so much going on and so many triggers, and even more so right now with all that's happening in the world. And the fact that we've done this trauma training, we can put all those triggers, even at a moment's notice, on one side in order to be the workshop leader, be the midwife at a birth, and hold a really, really safe space.
Gosh, I feel so tearful as you share that, Julia. But that is the important thing, isn't it? It's like how to actually put our triggers aside and actually step into the space. If there's anything that we've been doing over these months, particularly this whole period of time around the craziness that's going on, it's like we've had so many triggers to deal with, and it's like we have to just keep putting them aside and hold space for people, hold space for ourselves.
Yeah, that's the important part, definitely, is still holding space. And I think that comes across with, as you're talking, Juliet, is it's not that we're taking the vulnerability away. In fact, it it informs the teaching, but it's that it's not overwhelming. You're still willing to be present and vulnerable, and that really comes across.
Yeah. And there's a kind of authenticity in that, isn't there, when we can just be present and vulnerable as well as holding space.
I very much felt
it's vital to the work.
Yeah.
I very much felt that over the years that I've been working with you, that it's the value, the real value in actually engaging with how you're feeling, good, bad, ugly, is the potential for it to carry you to a new space, a new level of awareness and consciousness within yourself, and also in relation to everything. And so just on a very practical level, I find that the trauma work informs me day to day how to navigate situations that I would have ended up feeling upset and, out of action somehow, mentally, emotionally. And not only do I find the ability to resolve those things, but that it's like creating a new vessel, or it's like sitting at a potter's wheel and kind of finding a beautiful new pot kind of rising up under your hands. And it's really like that, in the sense that this kind of informed awareness can give you so much more than if you hadn't approached your trauma, hadn't tackled your situation.
Yeah, that's a beautiful metaphor, isn't it?
I love that metaphor, Sue, of the sacred vessel being birthed through your hands. I love that. And not only are we turning the wheel, but we are molding the clay of the process. And my sense is so safe. I think Julia was sharing last week and over the months how authentic you can be in this group. Absolutely. And that's what I feel. Just being yourself, because the holding we offer, that sacred holding where whatever is, we are with it. There's a spaciousness, there's a presencing, and we just go and explore it. And I love that, because it just quietens down the nervous system. So it's and there's so much love in this group. There's so much love.
Oh.
Within the vulnerability, we're there for each other, individually, and holding what is going on out there. It is just processing what comes up. And spilling into 1 week, we know we are meeting on a Friday. That's such a lovely feeling that, like the Little Prince of Saint-Exupéry, when the fox said to him, can you please tame me? And if you tell me when you are going to come and visit me, my heart will rejoice. And that's the feeling I have on the Friday morning. I know we are going to be with each other, even if there is only 2 of us that can make it. We still explore. We still are there for each other. And that feels like a gift. That's one of the gifts I offer when I meet anyone out there. Just being in presence, witnessing.
Yeah,
There is.
it's so important, that connection, isn't it? To have someone that we can connect with, and we can completely be ourselves. It's like however we show up, this expression, warts and all, if we're having a really crappy day, things are really terrible, really challenging, we don't know how to take our life forward, we don't know how to deal with anything, and it's like we can show up and just be in that space, and it can be held and loved. Yeah, the most healing thing is a mother's kiss, isn't it? A mother, you know, when I'm not talking about a bad mother, I'm not talking about the abusive side of it that's kind of showing its face so much in family relationships, but I mean in the true holding of a true mother, and a child falls over and hurts herself, and the mother picks the child up and kisses and soothes. You don't need any medicine. It's the relationship, it's the true heart-to-heart connection and the tenderness there. And I think that's what we've been holding together over the months, isn't it?
Yes, it is a sacred vessel that is growing and is alive. It's co-creating. We are co-creating together. Yes, this amazing web of, I don't know about the council either, the word council, because it's got that connotation with maybe the religious thing, which I don't want to go with, but just that beautiful circle where we just share some of the whispering of the wisdom that's coming through us. In authenticity, informing this beautiful circle of elders, informing us. And Maia, you're in that, absolutely, with all your youth, because you're so profoundly wise. Each one of you. And I feel absolute, I feel gifted to be part of this vessel of elders, where there is just so much going into that vessel. And it's not for us, it's for the sharing, for the gifting. That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, I like that idea of the circle. And inform, to embody, to be informed. That's such an important part of trauma healing, isn't it? And a few months ago, we were talking about how sad we were feeling about all the lockdowns and the fact that we couldn't see each other, and like all the pain of family separation and all the terrible, terrible stuff that's been perpetrated at this moment in time. And I don't know if it was Julie or you, Brigitte, were saying like, oh, what my heart wants more than anything is just to sit round a fire and to share from the heart. And I think that's what we have tried to create, that sitting around a fire, and that, to draw in upon that lifetimes and lifetimes, generation upon generation of that feminine line, of that wisdom, that connection. And not to say that men are excluded. When I say feminine, we're talking about feminine is being the power together, the co-creative power, rather than the power over that we're experiencing at the moment. So
It's such a beautiful vision to hold, which Julia was sharing, just sitting around a fire and being able just even to hear the murmurs or the whispers of the weeping, or the singing, or the poem, while the fire is crackling, or just sitting by the water and hearing the sound of the waves or the murmur of the river. I really miss that, sitting with my tribe. Physically, I miss that. And I miss what the women in Tunisia and Morocco and the elders used to do. And the women, they used to dance for each other. They used to celebrate each other.
Oh,
They used to massage each other's feet. And I was really touched this morning because a friend of mine who is on the other side of the planet said, how do we celebrate a star? As it's going to be your birthday. And she was sharing, she would love to massage my feet.
oh,
And it really touched me. Because I thought, yeah, I can't even ask any of you beautiful people to put your hands under my feet.
yeah, it's so important, isn't it, that physical connection? Although we've created this beautiful space and it's kind of virtual, it's not the same as a physical being together physically.
It's very different. And I thought everything that's been running out for the last centuries has been to separate, has been to dissociate, has been to move away that beautiful weaving in of that, the ancestral medicine, let's be together. Like beautiful Julia at birth, that amazing presence, 100%, whatever is going on in her life. And I'm there for you. Or Sue, or Maia, the beautiful drum.
So how are we as we're sharing this? I mean, how are we all actually feeling this week, this moment? Because there's been a tremendous ramping up of really, really challenging stuff. And that has such a direct impact on our own personal lives, on our family lives, living with somebody perhaps that's feeling in a different way about things, or seeing clients that are really challenged at this moment. I mean, what's been going on for each one of you this week?
Yeah, I think I'm seeing in all the interactions I'm having just how it all comes down to emotions. Even so, we had a little thing with some friends who were worried or concerned that they had the coronavirus and they didn't know what to do, and they were there saying, oh, I'll just be logical about it. And yet the decisions they made were hugely influenced emotionally. So in terms of, I was watching what they were doing, and they weren't logical. They had logical elements in it, but it was emotional. So my week has definitely been realizing just how innately emotional we are as beings, and you can't just be logical. It's not possible, because we are not just logical as human beings. We're deeply emotional and energetic beings. And I suppose I'm feeling like, how can I use that to inform how I am, rather than think that it's something I have to separate. How can we integrate it more into the practice and allow it to hold the wisdom that it has? Because I deeply believe that if I can integrate it more, that emotional aspect of my being, that I'll be wiser, better off, more present. That's my week, at least.
So is it that the emotions taking you away from what's happening? Or are you talking about you get you witness people getting activated and then they're not really able to be present.
Yeah, exactly. And they're also believing that they're acting from a logical, cognitive place when I'm watching their decisions being hugely influenced by their emotions. And I think that by bringing more presence and awareness and acceptance to that emotional side, it can inform our reality, it can support our reality, as opposed to if we separate out from them, it can be a cause for distress or overwhelm. So
how's it been for you, Maia, when you see that happening, when the friends around you that have been upset this week and then you see them not being logical, how were you impacted by that?
I don't mind if someone's not being logical. It's when they're tricking themselves into thinking they are and they're acting emotionally. And actually what it does for me is it brings tenderness into my heart, realizing that they're not being what they think they are. They're actually being emotional. And it's like, oh, okay, this is a language I get. I understand. I can be emotional with them. It's when they separate off and think they're being logical that it can be hard. Because emotions, I mean, like we've just been talking about, they just need presence, first and foremost. And so it's like, okay, that's what I need to do.
So there's a split, isn't there? If somebody thinks they're being logical and then they're not, they're in some state of emotional engagement, but they're presenting this other thing. There's a kind of distortion happening there, isn't there? And how do you feel that when there's that someone saying they're doing one thing and they're actually something else is happening and you're witnessing that, but they can't witness it because they're disconnected from the fact or dissociated from the fact that that's happening?
Well, I mean, it can be a cause for panic in a moment. Like, how do I be with something that's separate when we're meant to be whole? But like I was saying, it brings tenderness into my heart. Ultimately, I start to feel the need to be present and tender because there's emotions flying about, and also not just emotions, but unconscious emotions.
Yeah. So that's beautiful that you can actually be. I mean, when you say tenderness, it's like be kind or be compassionate to the disconnect that you're witnessing in that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It reminds me a lot of like in midwifery. These days, it's very much about informed choice, but couples who are who are focusing on the informed choice and like if they do this, the chances of X happening are one amount, and if they don't do it, the chance of X happening is another percentage. And then there's even a danger of getting like stuck in their head and not really feeling in their body what feels right. And what I've realized is that pregnant women are amazingly good at just tuning into their bodies and going, I know exactly what's right for me and my baby, which is nothing to do with informed choice at all. So it's like there needs to be the third element, what does their intuition say? Because that will be nothing to do with the statistics and fears that are swirling around. And all women, I notice, who've made a choice based on logic and have ignored what their intuition says, have always been upset afterwards. Like they've always been mad with themselves. I know it was right to do this, or I knew it's right to do that. So part of my job is really helping them to check in with their bodies. Like, how does my body feel about making choice A or B? And then they're happier. Then they know they've made the right choice, whatever way the birth transpires.
It's a split in the collective, that the framework that the medical profession has put in this experience of informed choice, it's purely intellectual, but that is a massive split. There's a disconnect in the collective from the perceived intellect and the actual body. We are spirit, we are body, we are soul, all these things, but that's not held in the collective. So so I've just been flashed up that we're running out of time in our little audio. So I don't know if we're probably going to, we might suddenly...
You've got 10 minutes left, Juliet.
Okay, okay.
You've got 9 minutes left.
Okay, so let's go around and just do a little check-in as to how we are, because Maia's spoken, Julia's spoken. Let's hear how you are, and Brigitte, and how Sue is. So have 5 minutes each. And for the viewers, you know, sorry if this clicks off suddenly. We're learning our way.
Yeah, I wanted to say, in terms of, you know, reiterating what Maia was talking about, is that what I observe in myself and others is that what we don't engage with, what we don't face, what we don't own in terms of our real feelings about things, tends to become the elephant in the room. And so it dominates. It dominates way more than people realize. And so for me, I track with my body going in and out of situations and into people's company, and where there is that strong disconnect, I'm usually feeling quite a degree of tension, because it requires a lot of energy to suppress something, more than if somebody is engaged fully with themselves and able to let those feelings flow and just to own what comes up, you know. So I don't remember the brain terminology, but I remember somewhere during our training, there was this thing about a part of the brain that stores our trauma. It's a non-verbal part that stores our trauma memories, but at the same time, this sort of non-verbal place, really a non-verbal state within, becomes the stepping stone to a much higher level of consciousness. So it's almost like a room in the castle, where you have to go in and sort of experience these ghosts or these feelings from the past. And then by engaging with that, we become freer and more able to move into a higher realm. So yeah, I've just been on retreat, and it's been really wonderful. And I think coming back just makes me more, I sense that my tracking and feeling is heightened. So I'm just enjoying this, really. That's my thing at the moment.
Oh, bless you, Sue. It's wonderful that you can keep doing your spiritual attunement and doing your retreats. It so brings so much forward for everyone that you do that.
So,
Brigitte?
well, I don't feel I have anything much more to share. It feels quite complete, you know, this morning sharing. Maybe but the embodiment is such a profound process of, yes, I guess, witnessing more and more within loved ones and family, what we were saying earlier on, the dissociation, and how that's touching me deeper and deeper into what Maia was referring, that place of, I'm getting to a place where I've cracked open into a place where I'm surrendering as I see more and more damage, even physical damage. And I'm invited to hold more for the community. So there's those two different places which are the same, of going into that place of the softening as I hear the stories and the acceptance that that's just how it is. And then the resourcing. How can I be with that person where they are, with what I am, who I am? And those beautiful skills that we have been learning with you, Juliette, and within this group, which is amazing. I mean, you know, they're not, what you call, it's not like going to university. This is a real skills of a deep process of, taking you back to the embodiment of how do I feel, how do my body feels about that. So this morning when this beautiful woman was sharing, oh, I'm here with you holding your feet with the most beautiful essential oils and sitting with you, offering you a cup of tea. Well, that touched me so deep. It brought me back to all the ancestral wisdom we've been holding of we knew how to do this. We knew how to be with each other. What Julia, you were sharing, a woman when she's delivering, and I've been there 5 times, innately, she knows. I knew. My body knew. The wisdom. It's so intelligent. And when we just align with that, there are no dams, there is nothing that's blocking. That's the law of the universe. And everything flows beautifully. But if I hand over the power, like I did with my first child, the cesarean section, well, I ended up in such a terrible state. So yes, it's just how to go back to being aligned. It's just holding who we are. When we have so much out there that's pushing us to say, oh, we've got the solution for you. Hand over, we can take care of you. No, that's the child, that's the baby. The baby needs to be taken care of. And we learn that in the first year, how to take care of our needs. But when we move, teenaging and becoming adult, then we have to stay with how am I informed within my embodiment? Can I stay with that?
Yeah. How
Can I
could you?
just explore that?
The body is
We
open.
have 2 minutes, 1 minute 50.
No, bless you, bless you. So thank you everyone for witnessing us today as we try to witness ourselves in a totally new framework. And thank you, all of you, for stepping forward and taking the risk. It's like, oh, Juliet, what are you asking us to do now? I so want to create a profound healing on this planet and to share that we're in such critical times and there's so much suffering at this moment in time. And each one of us, each one of you has the answer within yourself. It's not about power over, it's not about somebody else coming up with a solution for the health, for your health.
No, it's about the circle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're all equal in the circle.
Can I ask a favor of Maia? If we could finish those meetings with you drumming, even if it's a minute, that would be lovely. Thank you.
So we might
Disappear with the drumming.
Disappear with the drumming.